Well, we've got our four basic steps that we just covered, and we are going to focus on AIM, which is all around being able to look at cost to serve and profit in different ways, different dimensions that will be important to make decisions for the organization. So let's just start by going over and looking at the first part of a net landed profit report. You would say this looks a lot like a P&L statement. We have our gross sales and all the ways that revenues can be reduced, so discounts, chargebacks, etc. Now let's go down into the actual cost side. So our standard cost is obviously the cost to make or to buy the product. And then we all have all the line items that are important. And what's really critical here is that you want these line items to be specific to your organization. So when we have all of those costs delineated, we have a net landed cost to serve. And then finally, since we have the actual detailed revenue and the actual real cost, that gives us the ability to measure profitability. And as you can see on this report, everyone has a standard margin. And in this example, for that first quarter, we're just about at 42% for a standard margin. But when you get all of the costs directly attributable to the customers and products, as we've discussed, you can see that drops down to 5.6%. And that's a major difference between standard margin and a net landed profit margin. So we have different ways to be able to view that information. And you can see these are all filters associated with different ways to slice and dice the data. So specifically, let's just look at a few of those. We could look at it by the various channels that we sell our product in, e-commerce, retail, wholesale, etc. That would be one way to do it. Or maybe we want to go over and look at it by region, your sales territory regions or operating regions, whether that's domestic or international. Uh, that's really, certainly going to be a useful tool. Well, now what we're going to do is we want to possibly look at it for individual customer. Or we might want to be able to go over to different ways to look at the products. And we might say, hey, we have these product categories. So we want to look at activewear or we want to look at innerwear, whatever it might be. Or finally, we just look at an individual product. So as you'll see, the report is going to change. And what we're going to do is we're going to see that profit and cost information specific for the channels. So you have retail, wholesale, e-commerce, and outlet stores. And now what instead of having a generalized view across the entire organization, I'm looking at it by channel. So last week we talked about customers that were profitable, those that were unprofitable, and that's generally called customer segmentation. So I want to look at segmentation to be able to classify groups of products or customers or channels into some form of classification that is tied back to their operating performance on cost and on profit. So let's think about what we're doing. We have segmentation that says, okay, I'm going to be looking at customers that are really great producing customers. I'm going to look at customers that are marginally producing, in this case, products. And I want to look at it for just these three states. So let's take a look at what we can learn from this one example. So in our unprofitable, we see we have about $1.5 million of sales for these three states. That is about a little over 1% of the total sales for the company. We go over to the bottom and there's 125,000, but our top 96% of our products sold in these three states is generating sales of about $2 million. Let's go down to the cost side though. Look at the cost. So now on the unprofitable products being sold in this state, we have a cost structure that's about $1.5 million. That's cost just for these products,
Mhm,
just in these three states.
mhm,
So go over to the very top, the very high performing products, the ones that are really making all the money. We have a cost structure that's even lower than our unprofitable products. Look at that.
mhm,
$1.45 million in cost for a group of products that's giving me 96% of my profit, but I am spending a $1.5 million on products that are totally unprofitable in this state, is to be able to provide that
Yeah.
information. Look at the margins. So the unprofitable products are losing 13.3%.
Mhm.
That's quite a bit when the top products are making 25.6%
Hmm.
for these 3 states. So what you need is, in order for it to be actionable, it needs to be very specific and very accurate for every product and for every customer. And so it's really vital that you have that information, that your organization can use that information, because we all know these
Yeah.
are tough times. Inflationary pressures are huge,
Mm.
and people are looking for ways to quickly identify opportunities to reduce costs and protect margins.